It started with the sound of breathing. Slow, steady, just a few feet away from my bed. At first, I thought it was my imagination, the way the mind plays tricks when you're drifting between sleep and wakefulness. But then I heard it again, louder, deeper, and I remembered I live alone. When I moved into this apartment, the landlord was eager to rent it out. Too eager. He avoided eye contact when I asked why it was so cheap for such a big place in center town. "You'll be fine," he said with a faint smile, "as long as you don't mind the history." I thought he meant noisy neighbors or old plumbing. But now, lying in the darkness, I realized he meant something else entirely. The first week was fine. I unpacked, set up my small kitchen, and arranged my bed near the window so I could hear the rain at night. But then, small things began to happen. A mug left on the table would be in the sink the next morning. My closet door, which I always kept shut, would be slightly open when I woke up. The strangest part? Sometimes I'd find my phone on the opposite side of the room, its flashlight on, as if someone had been searching for something in the dark. I laughed it off. Maybe I was more forgetful than I thought. Maybe I was sleepwalking. But deep down, I knew better. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate, moving from the kitchen toward my bedroom. My skin prickled. I held my breath, listening. The steps stopped right outside my door. Then came a soft knock. 3 gentle taps. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My heart pounded so loud I was sure whoever, or whatever, was there could hear it. But after a long moment, the sound faded away, as if the footsteps turned and walked back into the darkness. The next morning, I found a note on my desk. The handwriting was messy, jagged. It read, "Don't close the closet tonight." My hands shook as I read it. I had no idea how it got there. That evening, I decided I needed answers. I left the closet door slightly open, just enough to see the shadows inside. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, pretending to scroll through social media while I listened to the silence. At exactly midnight, the closet door creaked wider. Not fast, not slow, just enough for a shape to slip out. A tall, thin figure, barely visible in the dim light. I wanted to scream, but my voice was gone. The figure moved toward my desk, placed something down, and then looked at me. I couldn't see a face, but I felt the weight of its gaze. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it stepped back into the closet, and the door shut on its own. I ran. I didn't grab my phone. I didn't take my keys. I ran barefoot down the hallway and out into the street. I stayed at a friend's place that night, trembling every time I closed my eyes. But here's the thing. The next day, when I went back to the apartment, everything looked normal. No sign of the figure. No note. The closet was shut. For a moment, I wondered if I'd imagined it. Maybe I was under too much stress. Maybe I needed sleep. Then I saw it. On the desk, right where the figure had been standing, was a photograph. Old, faded, edges curled. It showed a young man sitting on the very same bed I slept in. His eyes were hollow, his smile thin. And written on the back, in the same jagged handwriting, were the words, "My name is Daniel. I used to live here. Now I still do." From that day forward, I felt him everywhere. If I left the bathroom door open, it would be shut when I returned. If I fell asleep on the couch, I'd wake up tucked into bed. Sometimes, I'd hear whispering in the kitchen, but when I walked in, the room was empty. I started talking to him, half joking, half terrified. I'd say, "Morning, Daniel," when I woke up. Sometimes, I'd find a cup of coffee already poured for me. People told me I should move, but it wasn't that simple. I wasn't afraid anymore, not in the same way. I began to feel watched over, protected, even. I started leaving an extra chair at the table. I bought 2 sets of plates. I couldn't explain why, but I felt less lonely with him around. Still, there were rules. I never closed the closet completely. I never left the apartment for more than a day without telling him. And most importantly, I never asked him what happened to him. I didn't want to know, but curiosity is dangerous. One rainy night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my desk, staring at the closet, wondering what lay beyond it. I whispered, "Daniel, what happened to you?" The room grew colder. The air felt thick, heavy. Slowly, the closet door opened. The figure stepped out, taller than I remembered, its head tilted unnaturally to one side. I couldn't move. It leaned close, so close I could feel the cold air against my skin. And in a voice like dry leaves, it whispered, "I never left." The lights flickered. The sound of breathing filled the room. And then nothing. The figure was gone. But the closet door was wide open. I've kept it that way ever since. I don't know if Daniel is real in the way you and I are real. Maybe he's a memory, a shadow, a piece of the past that refuses to fade. But every night when I turn off the lights, I feel him there, watching, waiting. Sometimes I hear that slow, steady breathing beside me. And the strange thing is, I'm okay with it. Because the truth is, my roommate isn't real. But I still feel his presence. And somehow that's enough. Not all roommates are meant to be seen. Some are meant to be felt. The question is, when you turn off the lights tonight, who will you feel?